I know
Sorry about that.
projects he supported financially in addition to his time in town.
So yeah, this guy works on
time,
Empire,
treasure, and
and
talent
he's
in
like
terms of his
speaking
giving
on Jussie Smollett's behalf.
is willing to participate in the community. And it was always with a loving heart. It was always with a willingness to do good and to give back to what he had been given. He knew he was a lucky young man.
Lucky guy.
This show Empire, this was catching lightning in a bottle for all of us who were able to be on it. There were 593 scripted television shows made in America last year. 593. I think back to when I was a kid and there were like 12. And there were 593, so content is everything. So the competition is fierce. Empire was one of 3% of all television shows to get beyond 5 seasons. Doesn't happen. We think of shows that have long lives to them, that's fine. But the number of shows that have long lives, very few and far between. So Jussie had an appreciation for that, what he was given, as did all of us on that show. It was a game changer for Chicago. The community embraced that show in huge ways. The first episode of season 2 had 29 million viewers. Those are major sporting event numbers. And that made Jussie a huge presence in the community, both in television and in the community at large.
Would you say that based on
Apparently his 92-year-old grandma is going to get up and talk on his behalf.
Part in the show's success?
Oh, he was the music star of the show. I'm sure
Everybody's got a grandma. John Wayne Gacy had a grandma.
Jussie was the music star of the show.
Jeffrey Dahmer had a
Everyone else
grandma.
participated in it, but he was the day in, day out go-to music guy. He was our breakout music star on the show.
Now, Mr. Daniels, would you be willing and able to support Mr. Smollett if he were given a chance at a term of probation in this matter?
Of course. It's part of my daily activities in Chicago, and the thing I'm most proud of.
You don't believe that there would be any issues that Mr. Smollett would ever exhibit on a period of probation?
None that I would have ever seen or ever thought of.
You have one moment, Jeff.
Is it okay to take a sip?
Yes, sir.
All right, so he's looking at he's guilty on 5 counts. He's looking at 3 potential years per count. He ain't getting any jail time. That's gonna be my call right here. Not a chance. No matter what the city of Chicago wants, they want him locked up.
And briefly, Mr. Daniels, of all the incredible services you said Mr. Smollett gave himself to willingly,
He's a wonderful
not
guy.
required of Mr. Smollett in any way, were they?
They were not.
Neither by the show or any agency that you're aware of?
No, absolutely not.
So you believe that in addition to any of the, again, services that Mr. Smollett gives willingly of himself, that if he were given a term of either probation or some kind of community service, would you be willing or able to either supervise that or make sure that he would be compliant and continue to give himself to community service and service of others?
Absolutely. Happy to.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you.
Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Daniels, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Can you call your next witness?
Yes, Ms. Gilman.
Please step up.
All right, here's the second witness who's going to be speaking on behalf of Jussie Smollett, telling us all what a great guy he is.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got?
Got
Thank you. Please be seated.
Judge
Try to
Freaky
keep your
Doo
voice up. You're
still
welcome to
sitting
take
on
your
the
mask off
bench.
if you like. If you want to keep it
That's a
on, it's
wig.
entirely
That
up to
judge
you.
is wearing a wig.
Both masks.
All right, who's this?
Mr. Allen, you may depart.
Thank you. May I please state your name
Sharon Gelman,
and spell your first and last name for me?
SharonGelman.
I know my mother would kill me for this question, but I'm not gonna have to ask how old are you?
62.
And what do you do for work?
Well, now I'm a writer, editor, and a nonprofit consultant, but for many years I
How many
ran a nonprofit called Artists for a New South Africa.
Without telling me your address or anything, what state do you live?
I now reside in Maryland in the Washington, D.C. area.
And did you fly in for this specific purpose?
I did.
And why specifically did you fly in for this purpose?
Jussie's like family to me. I've known him for well over half of his life and a good chunk of my own. And I came because I was hoping that I could help people see the Jussie that I know.
So do you remember around the time you first met Jussie?
I met him in 1999.
That's very specific, okay? And so why does that stick out, 1999 when you met him?
It was we were producing an event. It was the 10th anniversary of my organization's existence, and it was the 5th anniversary of South Africa's new democracy. And we were doing a specific portion of the event. Desmond Tutu was our keynote speaker, and ambassadors and Sidney Poitier. We were doing a specific portion which was about the role of young people in the struggle against apartheid. And I asked the artists who were founders and our board members who would be like a wonderful young artist, someone with great talent and great to include, and they all suggested Jussie Smollett, and it was in that context that I met Jussie, who at that time was representing her, working on her behalf.
So back in '99, Jussie would have been a younger man.
He was 16.
Right. Even back then, what were your impressions of Jussie?
Well, he was when I called and spoke to him. We wrote a letter asking Journey to participate, and I got a very professional phone call back from someone named Jussie, and I was very impressed with him. And he said, I do public relations for Journey. And then he came into the office to meet me, and in walked this like utterly beautiful young man. And I was like, oh my God, you're a baby. And that was when I learned he was Journey's brother.
Did you even get the feeling back then in '99 that Jussie understood the significance of the event that he was attending in South Africa?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, the whole Smollett family is very charitably and politically engaged. And Jussie and Journey were very excited to be involved. I mean, I think Jussie, because being raised up and exposed to the arts and entertainment community from a very, very young age as little children, they understood the power that that fame confers, and they also understood the responsibility. So they loved the idea of using Journey's very baby, embryonic star power to do something good in the world.
Sure. So after '99, did you continue to have a relationship with Jussie?
Yes, Journey and Jussie and Jake and Jazz and Janet, the whole J family, would often come in and volunteer. They would stuff envelopes. I mean, they were like a all-service vehicle that, it's like, do you need us on stage? Do you need us sweeping the floor? They would just do all kinds of things. And then, gosh, I think it was around 2006. It might have been late 2005. We needed another staff person. We were a tiny organization, and I hired Jussie then, and he came and worked for me full-time for 4 years in the office.
What was Jussie's role after he was hired?
Well, he started off as my administrative assistant, and he will forgive me, I hope, by saying that Jussie has many talents. Paperwork is not really one of them. But he was so good with the staff and with our volunteers and with our interns. I mean, we were a tiny organization, and we did big things, and we depended on the largesse, not only of our celebrity members, but also of students and grassroots community folks who came in. And Jussie just was really stellar at making everyone involved, from the highest and mightiest and most world-renowned to, the kids we were working with in the inner city, making them feel special and welcome. And we worked really hard, and he was one of those people who had the rare gift of making hard work fun. So he really played a very, very pivotal role, and I promoted him pretty quickly. He became the coordinator and manager of our charity auctions, and then we produced an audiobook in honor of we announced it on Mr. Mandela's 90th birthday, and we released it on its 91st birthday with a major publisher and 26.
All right, I think I'm going to bail out of this.
From all over the world, renowned people of all backgrounds.
This
And
could go on
Jussie,
for an
you know,
hour.
was very
I don't have
involved in
time for it.
coordinating
So
that.
once they
And
get set,
as I
I'll
said,
jump back
he was
in.
willing to do anything. He was
They've still
willing
got
to,
a number
go
of other
pick
people who are
up.
going to speak
He
on
was a
his
good
behalf. His
photographer,
92-year-old grandma's going to come out.
documented
All of this before
you know,
the judge
anything that he
decides
would
that he's
do,
going to give
Jussie
us
was-
anything.
was willing to
So
do
we're
it.
going to jump out. Maybe we'll jump back in. We'll see.
So what exactly
All right.
did your organization
That's it.
do?
All right, we're getting out of here. That's all.
Well,
Thank you.
we were
We'll see you
founded
back in a little bit.
1989.